Tonight, the presidential jet controversy. There is a lot to go through. So let's start with what the facts are as of tonight, because the defense minister has been before Parliament over this. Why are we talking about this? It started with Samuel Akufo-Addo, who raised questions about the luxurious renting of the top of the range luxury private jet to fly the president across, several countries. And according to him, the jet cost the president and the taxpayer £15,000 an hour. And he says this was during a 9-day tour to some selected countries. For him, the cost can simply not be justified. And he also maintains that the president's trips cost the nation, and he puts all this together, some £345,000. If you put it in cedi terms, we're talking in excess of 2 million Ghana cedis. That is his claim, Samuel Akufo-Addo. Now, he also stressed that government made unnecessary expenditure on the trip. He went to France, South Africa, Belgium, and the key question is, do we have a functioning presidential jet that could fly the president to France, South Africa, and Belgium? And if so, why did the president choose to use a private charter at an alleged cost of £15,000 an hour? That is fundamentally Samuel Akufo-Addo's point. And so he filed an urgent question on the matter, was admitted, and the defense minister was before Parliament today to provide an answer. And so what was the defense minister's answer to the question? He says that it is meant for short trips. That is the existing presidential jet. Yes, it is in good condition. The president could have flown it, but most importantly, it is not meant for the sort of complicated trip that the president was on. It is meant for short trips, right? And plus, the president was traveling with a whole contingent of people. However, the flights that we have, the presidential jet that we have, can only fly 11 passengers, minus the crew. If you add the crew to it, you're talking about 15 people. And so it wasn't appropriate. It makes the point about the historical, conversation that we need to have when we're talking about presidential jet. Is that the capacity far below we had a Fokker 28. If you know and follow the history of presidential jets and controversy, this was a very controversial one when we were about to replace it, because it was significantly more spacious, right? And more than 25 people, and it flew a Champon, Akufo Rawlings and Kufuor era served them well. But stopovers for refueling, again, makes the current presidential jet unsuitable in this COVID-19 era, because you have to stop. When you stop, the host country and the country which you're stopping will need to sort of, apply their COVID principles and protocols, which will delay the flight more than it normally would. And it may take about 2 hours for this to happen, to just refuel, when in normal times you just take an hour. Right? And this is all what the defense minister told Parliament today. But most importantly was a factor of cost. So if we're using our own presidential jet, how much would it cost us an hour? This is the defense minister's answer to that question. $10,000 per hour, right? He says this made it cheaper, he argues, to charter the jet, which could take more than 20 passengers. But if you check the website for the company from which we hired the presidential jet the president used to travel from, the specs of the luxury jet that we hired for the president puts the total number of passengers at 19. Don't worry, we'll get into reconciling that very shortly here on PM Express. But also, it could take 100 passengers and 40 passengers on the VVIP settings, and then ideal for canceled, a deal that was cancelled in 2019. He mentioned that it is a defense minister going back to, we had a plan to buy a bigger jet that was cancelled. It says we need a multifunctional aircraft for diplomatic purposes. Now, the big news for me from the minister's brief today in Parliament is that we need a bigger presidential jet. And he said on Top Story with me that he's going to begin a broad consultation across the board to get us to get a bigger presidential jet, which we know is always a controversial subject. So government is making a case for why we need a bigger presidential jet. It says that it should be able to carry what we are looking at purchasing now should carry 70 to 100 passengers and their luggage when we need to. That is a fundamental point he's made. But there's a lot more to interrogate. Okay, so we look at the technical details. But is it about, and the minister makes a point about, we're not focusing on the cost. It says the military and his defense ministry is not focusing on cost, but they're focusing on the safety of the president, right? It's paramount. But is it really about safety? What about the luxury question? Okay, we'll interrogate that. The defense minister is my guest tonight. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is my guest tonight, and they are both with me here in the studio. Stay with me. Thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. My guest in the studio is a Defense Minister, Honorable Dominic Nitiwul. He's also the Member of Parliament for Bembela, and I'm sure his constituents have tuned in to watch him. And he'll tell you, there's no other station that if you travel to the north, our friends there watch more than JoyNews. Is there a doubt in that? No.
Well, I have to take I have to do a survey. I don't want to create a problem. I have to do a survey.
That's a very nice political question. No wonder you are the defense minister, astute. Also joining me is a member of parliament for North Tong. He is Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. In fact, his own investigations into the matter had led us to this point where the defense minister was before parliament and provided a host of facts in answer to a question about the status of our current presidential jet. And that's where we start from tonight, Mr. Minister. So your argument today was I think, threefold. There was the state of our presidential jet, its ability, what it can do and cannot do, and the need to do something long-term about it. If you don't mind, I wanted to start with the fundamental question that was asked. It relates to the state of the presidential jet. Suffice to say, you answered at the end to say it is airworthy. It is in good condition and can fly. So if that is the case, why didn't the president use it on this trip?
So let me take this opportunity to greet the people of Ghana. It's been a long time I've come to these studios, and I'm grateful and privileged to have an opportunity again to come here and have a chat with the people of Ghana through my good friend Ablakwa, Okudzeto, if I'll call you so, without the honorable, if you are okay.
No, that's fine.
And you
call me Sam. I prefer that.
Thank you. It helps. Dominic is fine. And you, Evans. My good friend Evans. And Evans, just even before I move, I was a bit perplexed and not too happy about something that occurred this evening. My colleague asked me a question just purely on the airworthiness of our Falcon 900 EX Easy and related matters. I did come to answer, as you have said. He really didn't ask me any question about the presidential travels, because maybe that question is filed to somebody else. He didn't ask me that question. And so I did not at any point talk about the president traveling. Anything I said about traveling was generalized. It was not specific to an individual. You know, one thing I respect, Joy, is that they've set some standard for a very long time. And so I was expecting that the standard of journalism here would be very, very high, even though some people are beginning to say that you are lowering the standard a little bit.
And you know they are wrong.
Well, but this even what I saw by the headline my Joy Online put, I'm beginning to revise my notes. I was really supporting you and said that, look, your standards are still very high, but I think that you should really look at it again. It's a bit disappointing. I'm not too happy. But what made me happy is, again, that this evening I had the opportunity to be on air with him and you took the correct angle to say that you answered a question really asking that your Air Force has asked for a new jet. And that's the angle that you took. And I thought that's exactly what the point I tried to make. That yes, the Falcon is airworthy, but has limitations. And our Air Force has for some time been asking the people of Ghana, through government, to give them a new jet to be able to do their work. That jet that the Air Force has asked for people wrongly believe it's a presidential jet. I don't know whether we have a presidential jet here, because we don't. The current jet that we have is only able to lift the president because of the small numbers. But if it were a bigger jet, it would have done other things beyond lifting the president. That's the only reason why some people tag it as a presidential jet, but it's not. Anytime the president wants to use this jet, he has to write to me to ask he's his defense minister, to say, look, can you give me an appropriate aircraft to be able to travel to A, B, C, D? And then we're able to do that for the president. What the Air Force has asked for is that, look, give us a jet that has a capacity more than 100 people. We can always configure it to a VIP sitting for any president, for VIPs, or anybody who wants to travel. But then the jet will be there to lift troops, to lift, let's say, footballers, to lift chiefs, or any other person, or Ghanaians who may be stranded outside this country. But as at now, we don't have what we call a strategic airlift. And so that's all that I came to Parliament to come and do. That, yes, the question offers the Minister of Defense, particularly the Air Force, an opportunity to explain what this Falcon is, and also to ask the people of Ghana that, look, it is time to listen to the Air Force and give them what they are looking for. They've asked for two things. They asked for the offensive ability, and they have also asked for the diplomatic ability to be able to do their work. Luckily for us, this year we may see some work being done on the offensive ability to defend us. But the diplomatic ability, they are still asking if it is possible. We should look for some resources. And since President Akufo-Addo, they have been asking that question. And trust me, we have spent more money on ourselves as a people than if we had purchased this aircraft. Because if you take just the people are preside over the soldiers, we have 2,200 soldiers that are serving around the UN. And most of them are going in groups, because Lebanon, 800 and something, Congo was about 400 and something, Sudan is about 400 and something people. If you check the amount of money we have spent on these soldiers over the last 10 years, that these Air Force people have been asking for this large jet, which could carry them, we spent over 50 million United States dollars, just on them alone. Can you imagine the police, who are also serving on UN? Can you imagine the footballers that we could have used? Black Stars, the amount of money the state is spending, and even other football teams, and even to bring Ghanaians who have been stranded all over. You remember we had to charter an aircraft to bring our girls from Dubai and other places. So all that the Air Force has been asking for is that give us a strategic aircraft that we can use to do our work. This aircraft can be configured to carry the president or any other VIP that you want. So it is not necessarily a presidential jet, and that is what I have sought to do. So your headline, presidential jet controversy, maybe you may have to change it. I don't know. That's what you have chosen to do. Journalists will always do that, but it is not a presidential jet. I want the people of Ghana to know that. And I thanked him. I thanked him for the opportunity he gave my ministry. Because behind the scenes, we're trying to do consultations, and we'll continue with that consultations. We don't want the controversy that happened in 2007, 2008 to repeat itself.
When we were buying the Falcon.
Falcon, and then the Boeing business jet. So I was trying to do the consultations before I'll come public. But he gave us the platform by asking that particular question, that look, we should tell us the airworthiness of this particular aircraft. And I used that opportunity to explain to the people of Ghana why this aircraft has limitations, why we need a bigger aircraft, and why, if you do the cost-benefit analysis, why it is important rather to look for one like that. And so we should bring the country together. We should find a way of ensuring that we as a country believe that this is the best way to go. Look, and I use our neighbors. I said, Ivory Coast, who is just to our left, the west of us, has one of these aircrafts that we are looking for. They are buying a second one. Senegal has one. They are buying a second one. Mali has one. Burkina, top of us, has one. Nigeria has like 6. Mali has another one. Niger has another one. And I listed all the countries around us. One of the few countries that has not been able to do that is Ghana. And I also said, look, the African Continental Free Trade, they've asked the Air Force 3 times, 1, 2, 3, to help them bring VIPs. We couldn't, because we don't have an appropriate aircraft. And so that question gave us the opportunity to make our case to the people of Ghana that, look, Any defense minister at this time will talk the way I am talking. I am defense minister today. Maybe tomorrow I might not. Maybe in 4 years I might not. Maybe in 8 years I might not. I don't know because I'm not God. But whoever sits in my chair will articulate the position that the Air Force people are articulating. And I plead that this should not generate any controversy. Their request should not generate any controversy. I always will not like the request of the armed forces to be generating controversies. It is not good for us.
So, so let's come. I'll come to Akufo-Addo shortly, but let's come to the context of the question because that is important.
Yes.
The context of the question was the president having flown another one of the flights in your custody, in custody of the defense or the armed forces, which is the Falcon, having flown another jet instead of the Falcon 900X Easy, which was the context of the question. It wasn't in the other paper, I agree. But the general context that everybody watching us would know was that context. You gave us some actual specifics in your answer today that point to a reason why the president on that trip to France, Belgium, South Africa would have used another jet other than what you have in your custody now. You raised a few issues. You raised the capacity, the passenger capacity, and travel distance before refuel. If you take one, let's take one after the other, and I'll bring Akufo-Addo in on that. Let's take the first big one, which is the passenger capacity. The flight the president chartered takes 19, according to the website that the president, that advertised the firm. Ours take 11 minus the crew. If you add the crew, it's 15. There's a difference of just 4. That certainly, question is, should not justify why we spend, as Akufo-Addo has alleged, £15,000 an hour.
That is not really the answer I gave, and that was not the context under which I gave that answer. I generalized the request of the Air Force and said that from the point of view of the Air Force, a president travels with his office, the staffers, the security, everybody, the press corps, everybody. So for them, it is important that if you want to lift a president, you must give them an aircraft that can carry beyond 30 people to 50 people, that they can use at once to move everybody, so that the cost is less to the people of Ghana. People do not have to go ahead and sleep. People do not, even the president himself does not have to go ahead and sleep. Everybody can move in and then go straight away and do that. That's the first thing I said. And I also said that in the context of what the Air Force is asking for, if the president or the VIP or anybody traveling has to go to about 2 or 3 destinations, you are going to have a set of presidential staffers that will be in these countries. For example, this particular trip the president went, after moving to France, he took a train to Belgium and back. That's okay. But to go to South Africa, once the people are with him there, and he was going to South Africa, they couldn't have joined because, obviously, of the difficulties that we face ourselves as a continent. No, not even as a world now. Because of the difficulties we face in COVID. So a different set of people have to serve the president when he gets to South Africa. So it brings in more cost. So it is wise to have a larger capacity aircraft. I never even addressed the chartered aircraft because he never asked me anything about the chartered aircraft. So I said it would have been wise to have a larger aircraft that can lift the president. He freshens up, everybody freshens up, they go straight to the meeting, and then he does not have to do different teams that he's having. And so straight away, that's all that I said. I also said that for the communications squadron of the Air Force, all they say is, and they insist that the sort of aircraft that we have is the diplomatic strategic reach to the Republic of Ghana. And they do that. The reach is an influential national brand. So if you have a Falcon and somebody has a BBJ, it's a national brand. It's the pride of the nation. It flies your flag. And that's the pride of the nation. These are our assets. And the volume of business that a country will do should be commensurate with what they exhume. It is no coincidence that the countries like America, which is very powerful, which wants to show force in the regions, have some facilities that go with it. And that is it. Because diplomacy is speed and speed and influence. And that goes with the sort of investment that we are going to have. That is why even during the Achampon regime, at that time, essentially West Africa was run by two countries, Ghana and Nigeria. He had a jet that could carry over 25 passengers. Today we have reduced ourselves to about 8 passengers for very, very long haul journeys and 11 passengers full capacity, because it has to take crew, and the crew is about 4. And so if you add about 15 people, and so that is that. As for the president picking a jet that can carry 17 or 18 people, because I did not answer to that question, I really don't want to be talking about it, because if you had asked me that question specifically,
I'll come to that. The defense minister, whose job is primarily also to protect the president on that, because you also addressed the question about safety versus cost. So we'll come to that shortly. But Mr. Kujo, let's look at the specifics that he's put out in terms of the capacity of our existing presidential. One of the fundamental questions you asked was, we have a presidential jet that was in good condition. Why don't you use that? Why do you spend your money on a private jet? The reasons is just laid out for us. Doesn't that justify why we needed to use another facility?
Thank you, Evans. Before I come to that, I think that we should clarify a few issues. First of all, I do not share in the Honorable Minister's explanation and claims that we perhaps do not have a presidential jet. I want to state emphatically that from where I sit, and having followed parliamentary proceedings, having followed the history of our country, and having looked at other jurisdictions, we do have a presidential jet. Indeed, the Falcon 9G EXE is our 4th presidential jet. If you look at the history of presidential jets in Ghana, the Osagefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had the DH-125 jet, which was designated as the presidential jet. Indeed, Kwame Nkrumah had a German pilot who some people even thought had some Nazi links at the time. After Kwame Nkrumah, we had the Fokker 28, the famous Fokker 28, which President Rawlings used for a long time. I want to believe that it's even still in the fleet. The Fokker 28 was designated as presidential jet under President Rawlings as head of state. After Fokker 28, we had the Gulfstream GIII. And remember, the Gulfstream was famous when President Akufo-Addo said that he did not agree with, the Fokker 28 is a flying coffin. Yeah. That's what was designated as a flying coffin. But the Gulfstream GIII, if you recall, the MPP said they were not happy with how it was acquired, that it was not particularly transparent. And so President Akufo-Addo refused to use, it was a campaign promise that he would not use it. So he refused to use it until 2005 when he sold it off. So the Gulfstream GIII was the 3rd presidential jet in our history, which President Akufo-Addo refused to use, but President Rawlings had used it prior. Then we have the 4th presidential jet, which is what is in issue now, the Dassault Falcon 900 EX. Our presidential jets are managed by the Communications Squadron of the Ghana Air Force. They always have a fleet of aircrafts, but there is one which is always designated as a presidential jet. And it's the same situation in other jurisdictions. We all know that perhaps the most famous presidential jet in the world is Air Force One, the presidential jet of the United States of America. If you go to France, they have the Cotam 001. And these are the flying calls. I mean, when the presidents, the commander-in-chiefs are on board. In Ghana, when the president is on board, they call it Ghana 001. If you talk to the Air Force folks who are conversant with these matters. So I just want us to understand that we have always designated, if you do a historical analysis, we've always designated a particular aircraft in the fleet.
Even if it's for the Air Force, it's designated
is designated
so
as a presidential jet.
Falcon is definitely a presidential jet. It's
a presidential jet. And the president has priority over that jet. Anytime the president wants to use that jet, nobody, as commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, it is designated for him, it is at his pleasure, and nobody else can use it without his authorization as commander-in-chief.
You said that's not how it works.
And that's what
defense minister.
Well, I don't know if things have changed under
the right to him.
If things have changed under the current administration, but let's not go into all of these semantics. Ghana has a presidential jet, and indeed, if you look at the Hansard of 19th March 2008, it's a matter that came up strongly. The honorable ranking member at the time of the Defense and Interior Committee.
And this, for those who haven't followed this history, what is going to read to you is a controversy that preceded the purchase of the Falcon 900X, correct?
Yes.
It was a major controversy back then. In fact, when they took over, it actually affected even the use of that flight.
So the minority at the time, Alhaji Sumane Abukare, who was a ranking member, God bless his soul, on the Defense and Interior Committee, he stated in Parliament categorically, and I'll read it for you. It says, I want to start by stating clearly that I, the ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee, have not seen any 33-page agreement or report on the purchase of these jets. The subject of our discussion, I have not seen any such agreement. We are being told that there is a 33-page agreement. And that is the agreement that is binding on this House. The agreement does not exist. I have not seen one, and I'm sure none can be produced here in the House. Mr. Speaker, I'll move on to address the issue of the purchases. We are being asked to approve an amount of $43.15 US dollars, that's million, and a 62 million United States dollars government contribution for the purchase of 2 jet craft to be used by the president. They are now called presidential jets. The Honorable Minister for Defense has admitted to that fact. This is column 2127 and 2128. Honorable Stephen Asamoah Boateng then rose on a point of order and said, Mr. Speaker, my colleague is misleading the House. I just heard him say we are being asked to approve the sums on the order paper for the use of the president. Mr. Speaker, the motion on the floor of the House talks about an amount of $43.15 million and the government of Ghana's contribution of $62 million for re-equipping the communication squadron of the Ghana Air Force. There's nothing here that says it's for the president's comfort, which I heard him say. Asamoah Boateng had added his own words, comfort. Now, the second deputy speaker, who was the chair, gave this ruling. This is second deputy speaker. He says, I did ask him to substantiate. And he said he heard the Minister for Defense make that statement. If the Minister for Defense does not rise to say that it is not true, then I allow him to go on. The Minister of Defense was in the chamber.
What did he say?
He did not rise. So, for the record, that those 2 presidential jets are presidential jets, and that is how the debate proceeded. The defense minister did not challenge the fact that President Akufo set out to purchase these 2 jets. You do know that subsequently, President Mills, for good reason, he promised during the campaign that 2 jets, looking at our financial situation, the economic hardship at the time, only 1 will suffice. And when he won, he carried out that pledge. He did not renege. So he cancelled the bigger one and maintained the Falcon 900.
The minister says that's why we're where we are today, struggling with the numbers.
I'll come to that because the 2 jets was costing us $105 million at the time. $105 million. By what he did, at least he was able to hive off some $63 million, which is good savings that he made. So I want us to appreciate that there is a presidential jet which is always available for the use of the exclusive use of the president. It is at his pleasure if he decides that others can also have use of it. Now let me come to the matter relating to other requests by the Communication Squadron. The Communication Squadron of the Ghana Air Force has always made requests to the politicians through the Minister of Defense, the Commander-in-Chief. Indeed, if you look at the Hansard of 19 March 2008, one of the reasons why we opposed the 2 presidential jets is stated here by our ranking member at the time, who said that, quote, Mr. Speaker, in making their request, the Ghana Air Force asked for 6 aircraft, six aircraft. They asked for an MA-60 aircraft for carrying our troops around, each of which can carry at least 60 passengers. They also asked for a Y212E aircraft, which they said can carry between 17 and 19 passengers. But all of these requests by the Air Force was shunted aside, not heeded to, and the regime at the time went for the 2 presidential jets, and it's one of the reasons why we oppose. And the answer is very clear. Let's come to the current issue.
This relates to this because, in fact, the defense minister had raised the history to the purchase of those 2 crafts and linked it to our capacity to carry numbers. That if we had done what they were asking for in the 2 aircraft, which was larger, the president currently wouldn't have had to get a private jet to fly.
So I disagree. Now, the text of my question, which I have here, is very clear. To ask the Honorable Minister for Defense whether the presidential jet, the Dassault Falcon 9G EXE, is in good condition and considered airworthy. Simple question. The Honorable Minister confirmed that it's in good condition. It's in pristine condition. There's no doubt about that. Now, why I ask this question, and I'm glad you say context is important, is because of the current controversy surrounding the charter of the ACJ 320 Neo, which, and viewers can Google the ACJ 320 Neo. The first thing that hits you, the world's most expensive
We can show, because it's on the website of the company that we rented it from.
It's the most luxurious aircraft. This is Airbus wanting to knock out Boeing, the Boeing BBJ, out of the market by coming up with the most. I mean,
those are the pictures, and these pictures, by the way,
it's out of this world.
These pictures are pictures that you find on the website of
Acropolis Aviation,
which is the company that rents this particular aircraft. In fact, if I checked their website, they have 2 aircraft. This is one of their top of the range aircraft. Yes, your point is?
So my point is, the presidential jet was in good condition, remains in pristine condition, mint condition. It's a 15-seater, as we were told when Parliament approved it by the 19th March 2008, Hansard, which I have here, 15-seater. If you have a presidential jet in good condition, which can fly you to France non-stop, Accra to Paris is just 6.5 hours. If you need to refuel, which the Honourable Minister was arguing in Parliament today that one of the challenges with the Falcon is that it requires
frequent refueling. In the midst of COVID,
that is after 8 hours. It flies 8 to 9 hours non-stop. It's after 8 hours.
Sure
I'm very sure. I'm very sure.
Because the minister is
I'm very sure because the technical committee.
Because I didn't see that in the answer that was provided in terms of giving this. But you've said 8 to 9 hours. So
yes,
we'll check that.
I've said that, and I also have here, and viewers can go to the Dassault Falcon 900EX website. They can go there, and you'll see details of the
specs.
Or the specs.
And by the way, the thing about aircraft is that it's just like a vehicle. They advertise the specs.
They advertise. The specs are there. And let me read from the second page. I downloaded this document from their website. It says, no matter how you look at it, the Dassault Falcon 900EX, and EX, by the way, is for extended range. That's what it means. So it's for long-haul travel. It says, the Dassault Falcon 900EX is an impressive private jet with ranges of over 5,000 nautical miles, an incredibly comfortable cabin, an innovative 3-engine configuration for overwater safety, and fighter jet design strength, It is ideal for transoceanic and transcontinental trips and offers great versatility in flight planning. So transoceanic, transcontinental. So this is a long haul flight. So these excuses, with all due respect, cannot hold.
But the one we hired had 12 hours. That's a 12-hour flight time before you refuel.
I mean, you are going to France 6.5 hours. You have a Falcon.
You had to go to Joburg.
You have, I'll come to the Joburg leg. You have a Falcon that can easily take you. This Falcon, the president himself has used it to the United States of America before, which is further than going to Joburg.
And we nearly had a major incident when he did that.
No, it was not because I've told you.
The engine failed.
Look, the manufacturers, Evans, the manufacturers have told you that this is a transoceanic and a transcontinental aircraft.
When he used it for Washington,
Evans, I was there for the UN General Assembly meeting.
The engines failed. The engines failed.
Machines at the President Mahama, 2015. President Mahama actually had 2 incidents, 2015 and 2014. That's why it has 3 engines. When one engine fails, it's nothing fatal.
The president had to make an emergency landing.
After 30 minutes it was not something to be scary about. Look, it's not. Look, President Mahama had the same incident twice. It didn't stop President Mahama from using the Falcon.
Lifeline. You cannot belittle that.
Look. Nobody is belittling the president's safety. I must emphasize that. Look, I'm the last person who will want any harm on the commander-in-chief. It's about the office he occupies. He represents all of us. And we believe that our opponents should stay alive. We can win in competitive elections. We can always take them out through a democratic process. So let nobody think that perhaps the NDC is on a reckless mission. Not at all. We want the president protected. We want the president alive. That's why I even argued in Parliament that if really we are concerned about the safety of the president, it's not good for the president to be chartering flights from private companies because if you go to Acropolis Aviation, I've spoken to them, they insist that they must use their own crew at all times. They don't trust any other crew. Their pilots, they insist on their crew. If you use the Falcon, the presidential jet, you have your own Air Force flight commanders, your own crew, who have pledged allegiance to you as commander-in-chief. So you are safer with using your presidential jet. So again, that argument does not hold. We are rather protecting the president and seeking the president's interest by insisting that he should use the presidential jet. This Falcon is a transoceanic, it's a transcontinental aircraft. It could have taken the president to France 6.5 hours non-stop. Then France to Belgium, which was the second leg. That one, is just less than an hour. Now, the challenge will be France to South Africa. Yeah. That's 11 hours. What you do is that you come back to Accra, 6.5 hours, and then you can fly from Accra to Joburg, which is 5.5 hours. Simple. In Accra, you can even, if you miss your fufu, you can... Auntie Becky will be happy to hug you back home and serve you nicely. And then you go back and continue to Joburg. And I heard the minister today in Parliament say that, COVID, and if you are using the Falcon, you have to be careful as you disembark and all of that. Again, I have been with President Mahama on a number of presidential travels. When you are refueling the Falcon, they give you options. Do you want to stay on board or you want to disembark? So in this COVID era, if you want to stay on board, nobody will stop you. You can stay on board
for 2 hours,
unless it's less than an hour.
No,
at least the experience.
Because of COVID. That was before COVID.
Oh, what is the difference? What has COVID got to do with fuel into your aircraft? Indeed, for Air Force One, they even do the refueling whilst you are flying. They have the capacity to do.
We are talking about
yes. Falcon. So there's nothing special about refueling an aircraft. It's just like taking your car to the gas station and having it refueled. It's nothing special. You don't need to disembark, and the president will be safe. So I am telling you that all these, the other excuse about freshening up and all of that. Look, Accra to Paris, 6.5 hours. I don't believe that the president when he's working in Ghana as president, he showers every 6.5 hours. I don't think he does that. The president is not incontinent. He doesn't do that. I don't think so. So we are not helping the president when we argue that way. Now, what has been happening, and I've been, as I've told you, on these presidential jets from President Mills and then President Mahama, an hour to arrival, your Air Force commanders will do the announcement. They will come and tap the commander-in-chief, say we are landing in an hour. Then they will usher him. He would have a warm towel to freshen up, and he's ready to meet the welcome party. They provide tea because there's microwave on board. If viewers can go to the website of Dassault Falcon 900EX. Let me just read what they tell you. It says, the cabin of the Falcon 900EX, and this is very important because the Falcon has been presented today as if it's some, old, relic which is not comfortable and is some archaic aircraft. We are one of the best.
What does this say?
We have one of the most comfortable presidential jets in Africa. I can tell you. Viewers can check the presidential jet of Burkina Faso, Eswatini, Equatorial Guinea, Uganda, DRC, Morocco, and others. They are using very archaic fleets. We are top notch. We are in the top 10 if you were talking about African countries who are treating their president well with presidential jets. Listen to what they say about the Falcon. The cabin of the Falcon 900EX is very large. It is a 6.1 feet high, 7.7 feet wide, 39 feet long, not including the cockpit, and has a total volume of 1,264 cubic feet. Standard seating is between 12 to 13 passengers in a double club configuration and a 3-person divan. So that gives you 15 or 16. And a 3-person divan. A divan, for those who want to know, like the couch where you can convert your seat into like a bed, more leg room, and relax like you are on a bed. So those who are claiming that the president cannot be comfortable in this 900EX, it has 3 divans with a mid-cabin 4-place conference grouping. The full-size galley is configured with equipment for hot meal preparation, including a high-temperature oven, microwave, and coffee maker. The aft baggage compartment, which holds 127 cubic feet of baggage, is pressurized and air-conditioned and can be accessed in flight. Sound levels within the cabin are very low, and temperature distribution is even throughout all parts of the cabin. That's what Falcon 900 is.
We're going to be talking about the cost.
It's a very comfortable jet.
The fundamental point he also makes, Honorable, I want to come to you on this. You said today in Parliament that your only focus is the president's safety and not cost. But the question others have asked on the back of that pronouncement today is that, but this is not about cost, it's about luxury. We opted for luxury, not necessarily what was the most
thank you very much.
prudent financially.
Let me explain again that when the Minister of Defense is looking for means for a president or a VIP to travel, the first option we'll look at for is the safety of our people we are looking at for. The cost will come, obviously. We'll analyze the cost and look at it. But that's not our first priority. Our first priority is the safety. Is the vehicle we are looking for safe? Is the aircraft we are looking for safe? What we are going to do with the people who reach there carefully? Of course, the cost will come. Cost will always be a part of the element. You can't wash it that way. Because if you cannot provide, then what is the use going for something you cannot provide? But the most important element to us is the safety and safety. You see, nobody in this enterprise, especially me, has said that President is not comfortable in the Falcon. Never. There's no part of my statement I've ever said that. I've never also heard anybody say that President Akufo-Addo says he's not comfortable. Please, I don't want that statement to be attributed, especially to me. I've never said that, and I'll not say that. Our president is using the aircraft. When he came, he used the aircraft around, and he's still using, even today, he's using the aircraft. So it is not a true story for anybody to say that he says he's not comfortable using, it's not comfortable for him. It's not true. It's not true.
So why do you choose that luxury then?
I'm coming, please. I'll come to that. This aircraft that we have has had at least 2 engine failures. You were right when you said that. It has also had a battery failure. It's 11 years. Even it can be new and have that, but I'm just giving you the history of this aircraft. That it is not as if this aircraft is so pristine. Even if it is new, you can have a problem, but I'm just giving you the fact that it has had two engine failures, it has had a battery failure, but we always make sure that we send it back to the sort to ensure that the aircraft is serviced and serviced well. So I don't want to be talking about that. But what I told him is that it is serviceable. It means the aircraft can move. Two, the ACJ Neo 319 is not the most luxurious aircraft in the world.
It's 320. The president
I've said that before, and I'll continue to say that before. That type of aircraft that you have, when Airbus manufactures the aircraft, it's for the designers to add whatever they want to add to it. It's not the most luxurious.
No.
Google the most luxurious aircraft. You will see them.
It's important to clarify this.
Yeah.
The company we went to hide from say it is the most luxurious in their fleet.
So, but then why do you say it's the most luxurious aircraft in the world? That's all I want to say. That's what I wrote down. Most expensive and luxurious aircraft in the world.
It is not true. The ACJ 320 Neo.
I can tell you that it is not.
The aircraft number you mentioned is wrong.
Can I finish?
What the president went for is the ACJ 320 Neo, not the 219.
I can say to you that it is not the most luxurious aircraft. There are aircrafts that Ghana cannot even afford. The aircrafts that people are using, there are several of them Ghana cannot even afford. Check the 10 most expensive aircrafts and luxurious aircraft, you see it. We can't even afford it as a country. Secondly,
but this is a luxury aircraft.
I'm coming. I'll come to that.
And in the business jet category,
I'll come to that.
The highest.
I'll come to that. Our Falcon is as luxury as this aircraft.
It's not.
Who told you?
It's not.
It's not up to this level.
It's not.
I'm saying, who told you?
It's not up to this level.
May I respectfully submit?
Our Falcon doesn't have a bedroom. Our Falcon doesn't have a shower.
Have you seen? Have you seen?
As you rightly said.
Fundamentally, sorry.
Have you seen both?
But I have seen the pictures of the Falcon.
Did you hear the description?
No,
did you see the description?
I mean, honorable, this is what we are talking about. This is
but I'm
nothing
saying that,
compared to what we have.
Did you hear the description he gave to the Falcon? He himself gave to the Falcon.
Yes, but it's no. I can give you. Let me give you the description. Let me give you the description of the ACJ 320.
I don't know. We've seen it. The videos are there.
And so let me continue.
But you agree it's not the same.
No, of course,
this is comparable.
No.
What we went for is luxury.
It's not the same. I can agree that it's not the same. But he gave that description. I'm telling him. But it is, at no point did anybody also say that it is an old, archaic aircraft. He just used the word that our Falcon is top of the range. It's the best you can find anywhere. But that's not also true.
In Africa.
It's not also true.
In Africa, top 10.
It's not also
I've checked
true.
with countries.
Burkina Faso has a BBJ.
I'll give you all their details.
A BBJ is a Boeing business jet. Just check the inside of a Boeing business jet.
Isn't the distinguishing feature the capacity and the passenger capacity, not necessarily the facilities on board?
When you talk about a Boeing business jet, check it. Boeing is not any company that just does anything. Mali has a BBJ. Niger has a BBJ. Nigeria has a BBJ. Uganda has a BBJ. Kenya has one. South Africa has one. Morocco has one. Tunisia has one. I'm just giving you the countries around us. Now, when you come to the Airbus, Ivory Coast has one. They're ordering a new one. Senegal has one. They're ordering a new one, the one he's talking about. So when you say that we have given our president the best of treatment, or our VIPs the best of treatment, better than any other person, it's not also true. I agree with him on one thing, though, that when you have just one aircraft, as we do, the president will be priority when it comes to the Ministry of Defense. That I agree. I agree with him totally.
Also, do you agree that the Falcon is a presidential jet?
No, I'm coming to that. You have admitted that your ranking member, who was an NDC member, described it as a presidential jet. Even on the floor, as I'm watching disagreed. He challenged it. But you believe him at that time. But me, you wanted the defense. You wanted the defense minister then to confirm. I'm sitting as a defense minister.
That was the speaker's decision.
I am sitting as a defense minister, and I'm saying to you that when you tag a plane as a presidential jet, only the president will use it. It's like the president's car today. The president's car, nobody else uses that car apart from the president. I cannot give that car to another person. But today, I've had calls to leave that car to even people who are not presidents. This jet to people who are not presidents. I'm just saying to you that...
It doesn't mean it's not a presidential jet.
Can I finish? The only thing I can agree is that we have just one aircraft. So because of that, the president is priority. I agree 100%. When he also says that we make a saving of 63 million, it's a big understatement.
In what context? 63 million in what context?
He says that President Mills then...
Oh, so that's the back to the historical.
No, I'm just looking at what he said.
Yes.
Made a saving because of cost, we didn't want to spend a lot of money. I told him, and I told him that at that time and now, the Air Force is still asking for a bigger jet. And I told him that it was not the issue of money at that time, that we canceled it. It was not money.
What was it?
I think it was more of the fact that the NDC wanted to satisfy a political promise than money. Because NDC government at that time found money to pay Woyomi 49 million United States dollars. Equivalent at that time.
No, you're wrong. It's Ghana cedis.
51,
Evans, you should correct him.
51 million Ghana cedis. I use the word equivalent. At that time was 49 million United States dollars. Because of the exchange rate. Because of the exchange rate. It was 1-to-1. No, 1-to-1.
Yes.
It was 1-to-1 at that time.
It didn't happen in 2009.
Can I finish?
No, you are wrong.
June 2009. I'm just telling you. And this aircraft that we have was delivered in 2010. The Falcon was delivered in 2010. CP judgment debt. The judgment debt for Akusombo area. The judgment debt to this man, Trazako man, and different other judgment debts together cost this nation well over 100 million United States dollars. So it is not the issue. The point I'm trying to make is that it is not the issue of money.
It was a political decision.
It was a political decision. It was their priority at that time was to pay judgment debt and not to give the Air Force.
You can't say that. I mean, judgment debts don't come because somebody creates it.
It was there.
That was a result of
but you remember that in the Woyomi case, for example, the government itself came back to admit that he took the money fraudulently.
And a court pronounced on a yes. So
I don't know what you're pronounced on it. So the point I'm trying to make is that when he says that, it was because we didn't have money, we made savings, that is not a true story. No. They cancelled it because they made a political promise and they wanted to satisfy their political promise. That I can understand when they do that. Maybe today is giving me the reason and I'm challenging him. But I still want to make the point that he never asked me a question about the travels, the type of plane the president used. He asked me a simple question. And I used the words that I am happy that he has given me the opportunity for me to explain issues about this Falcon and why we need
to be fair, I think we have that clarity.
I'm coming. And why we needed a bigger jet.
The question. In fact, he exactly read the question.
Good. And why we needed a bigger jet. If he's now asking me questions about the chartered aircraft, he should just put it.
You talk about you being interested in the president's safety. You must then be interested in the rental of this private jet in question, because again goes on fundamental to his safety.
So I still said that the choice, if you read my answer, I said the choice of the president's travel is called a schedule. And it's a national security imperative.
True, which you have a hand in that.
No, I say it's a national security imperative.
Yes.
And even in my answer, which was oral to him, I said that it is a decision by national security and foreign affairs. I mentioned it to him. And I said that it's a schedule. And the schedule may involve different modes of transport. For example, in the last trip the president made abroad, he used aircraft, car, and train. Because the president traveled to Belgium, but he didn't use the aircraft.
Use a train, you said?
He used a train.
But if the president can use a train, why didn't he simply get a less luxurious, expensive airplane like he did?
Like I'm saying to you that I have not answered that question because he didn't pose me, but you are trying to.
Yes, I'm asking that.
And you believe that, I'm saying you believe that this plane is very luxurious.
No, the company describes it as the most luxurious they have.
But you see, that is a PR thing the company is selling there.
But the pictures tells us of extreme luxury.
Do you really want me to give you pictures of a luxury aircraft that you have, the Abramovich type? The aircraft that other people have. But you want me to show you pictures of what a real luxury?
People who've made their billions privately.
But
he's a president of the public in a time of need and COVID.
I've heard you. But I'm always saying that you are trying to paint a picture as if this is the most luxurious aircraft in the whole world.
In the context of Ghana and where we are economically, definitely.
I accept you. I accept that. But you are trying, I'm also trying to point out to you that may not be the case. Because you've seen pictures from the internet, you pick those pictures and you want to force it down my throat that this is the most luxurious aircraft. And I said, no, unless you have other things to argue about. But like I said to you, that was even not my focus, because he never asked me that question. So I don't want this conversation to be the focus on that.
But you said today, though, about the cost and safety.
The cost, no.
Was the president's safety, you were sure that you said that? I mean,
I said that when the president is traveling, the thing we consider
VVIP, I just want to read it.
Yes.
VVIP, or presidential travel, it's not about aircraft type or cost, but it is all about the safety of the aircraft crew and passenger. My question is, this aircraft he rented, did it guarantee that safety, crew and passengers?
I think as long as the president is back in town, I, sitting as defense minister, will say yes.
Okay, so the follow-up question is that the Falcon has flown him before and returned him too.
I'm saying that
so
even
you could have used that too.
Even today,
if safety was the only thing,
I'm saying that if today the Falcon has flown the president, even when the president came, the Falcon flew him to Kumasi and back, and flew him to Nigeria and back. I don't doubt that. But when the national security or the defense ministry is making a decision as to which type of aircraft to be used or what vehicle to be used for the president, there are several factors that they put in. And I'm not going to sit on TV and come and say that this, that.
Primary is safety. Yes. I'm just taking your word.
And there's a truth.
Primary safety.
The first option, the first thing we look at is safety.
Safety, yes.
And that is the truth.
And the Falcon delivers that.
And I'm saying to you that this Falcon that we have, and I talk from the Air Force point of view, if the Falcon delivered everything perfectly, the Air Force will not be asking us every time that they needed a new aircraft. And I'm saying to you that the Air Force has always asked, even since the time of President Akufo-Addo, give us an aircraft that we can use to do the work that we want to do. And remember, we always talk as if it is just the president on board. Yes, he's the most important person. But the aircraft crew have families. They have wives and husbands. And they have families who should also look at their lives as well. Their lives are very important as well. We know and we pray that nothing will happen. And that is the fact. But I'm saying to you that I do not want this conversation to be centered on a question that I was never asked. I don't know whether you're getting me.
Yeah.
I was never asked that question. Otherwise, if he were to ask me that question, I will answer him. And then we'll come back and we'll have a talk about the type of aircraft that was rented and the cost to rate. The cost I actually said had to do with the aircrafts on our inventory.
Yes, including the Falcon 900 in question currently.
On our inventory.
And you produce some very startling numbers.
That's a fact. And I said
the Falcon 900 XEZ currently, if we fly it, it costing us $10,000 an hour.
I said that 1 hour of a chartered Mi-17 utility helicopter is $5,000. I also said that the CASA is 10,000 United States dollars, because he talked about chartered aircraft. So I didn't talk about working. I didn't talk about what we have. If we had there's a difference between if we have it, the operating cost.
We don't have the Mi-17 utility.
We do.
We had the CASA.
We have both, and we have the Falcon. That's why I made that. If we were to charter, that's why I use the word chartered. The Falcon. This is how much it will cost.
So what you're talking? Okay, I get your point.
So because he talked about charter, that's why I talked.
So I get you. So people didn't probably. I also didn't understand the. What you're saying is that if we were chartering the Falcon, we would have been paying $10,000 an hour. Okay.
That's what I said. Okay. Because he's talking about cost.
Yes.
I don't know what he's talking about cost, and he's talking about charter. But if he agrees with me today that we should have, say, the aircraft that the president took, which is the
one he rented, yes,
320 Neo. The cost of operating by Ghana itself may have been around 5,000 if it were our own aircraft.
Okay. But if we had bought it outright, if long term, we would have saved.
And secondly, I made a calculation to show you that if we had kept that BBJ, on soldiers alone, we would have saved.
The one they cancelled.
The one they cancelled. On soldiers alone, this nation would have saved 50 million United States dollars and over. Just on soldiers. I didn't talk about the police. I didn't talk about the other people who are being moved. I didn't talk about the Black Stars that we normally pick. I didn't talk about the other football teams that we normally pick around. I didn't talk about evacuations. I didn't talk about medical reliefs. I never talked about anything. I just talked about just only my troops, soldiers. that would have saved about 50 million United States dollars. That's why I agreed with him when he asked the last question that is it not better for us to buy a new aircraft that is strategic? And I told him, and any other person that I had the opportunity to talk to, that what the Air Force has asked for in this request, and I'm repeating as the defense minister, is that give us a multifunctional, and I use the word multifunctional here.
Yes.
Multifunctional aircraft that we can use. What it simply means is that give us an aircraft that we can convert to a presidential jet anytime we want, or we can convert to carry troops if we want it. Ethiopia does not technically have an aircraft that they've bought and said that it can be carrying only VIPs. No, including the president, no. They convert.
That doesn't compromise the safety of a
No. They convert one of their Ethiopian Airlines aircraft anytime the president wants to travel. It's very easy. You just take it and convert. Even the CASA. When the president wants to travel on the helicopter that we have, the soldiers will just convert it.
So we'll no longer have a presidential jet per se for the exclusive use of the president, but
that's why I'm saying that's what I'm saying. If we have money, if Ghana has money and decides to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 jets like Nigeria has done, they will dedicate one to only the president and nobody else.
I guess what I'm asking is, your proposition is that we buy, I mean,
that's what the Air Force is
asking for.
And they've sent me the pictures.
You endorse that?
I endorse that.
But I endorse that because deprive the president an exclusive.
No, I don't think any president has asked for an exclusive use. How many times does a president travel abroad? Maybe 4 times in a year, 3 times in a year, 2 times in a year.
But for safety reasons.
No, I'm coming.
The same reason why his car cannot be used by anybody else.
But that is the reason why today this Falcon is being used by other people. It's not exclusive. Other people use that aircraft. This Falcon.
Is that good practice though?
I'm saying that if we had money as a country, it's because of our cost. If we had money as a country, we could have bought 2, 3 aircrafts and said, like, this one is only for our commander-in-chief, like how other countries have done. We would have done that. But what the Air Force is saying is that we are spending, let me virtually use the word, we are wasting money on renting aircrafts, not just only the president, different groups of people, soldiers, there are different groups of people, police, chiefs. Look, evacuation of our citizens, the girls who were away, we had to evacuate people from everywhere. And so even to carry vaccines, Ethiopia, we have to rely on Ethiopia and Kenya. So the soldiers are saying that give us a strategic lift aircraft. They didn't say military strategic. There are 2 types. We have what we call the purely military strategic aircraft, which is the C-130 that Americans and others would say if we want, they can give us. That is purely military, or the civilian type like this, which they say it can be converted to different uses. The one they have asked for can seat up to 180 people. But then it can be converted into a VIP sitting of 50 if we want it. So, for example, if the president is traveling, they'll convert into a VIP sitting of 50 and use. But then when the president is not using it, and we are going to use it to bring soldiers and bring other people, bring police, travel with Black Stars and travel with other people, we'll convert it into a normal 180 aircraft and send the people and come back. That's what the soldiers have asked for. And that is why I am here. I am here because I'm trying to get that to be synced and not the propaganda headline that your people on my Joy Online have put.
I want to take a quick break. When I return, I want to put to Akufo-Addo the question around the cost, because the minister in this document have shown that if you look at the sheer numbers of people that can travel with the Falcon, for example, it's so minimal. And if you look at the contingent that travels with the president, you actually possibly are looking at spending far more just traveling with that Falcon, because everybody else have to then do their private jets if you do that together. Instead of using one flight that can carry as many people as possible, that factor into the cost element. He had raised it. I would like to hear his thoughts on that. And then also, I want to hear his thoughts on the request by the military, by the Air Force, to buy a new airlift. What do you call it? Airlift? Strategic airlift. That can be converted for purposes of traveling for the president. Stay with me. Thank you very much for staying with us. My guest is still the defense minister. He is Dominic Nitiwul, MP for Bimbilla. Also joining me is a colleague of his in Parliament. He is the MP for Nortong and also the ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. I want to deal now. He's dealt with the technical travel, etc., that the minister raised, but the cost element that has also come up, and that if we were, the minister said in this answer to you, Mr. Blakwa, that if you were chartering the Falcon today, you'd be talking about $10,000 per hour. But most importantly, if you look at the numbers that Falcon can take, 11, add crew 15, and the president traveled the whole contingent. You've done it before. If you don't have a bigger flight, that actually, in essence, could translate into more cost if you've done chartering one that can take more people. Isn't that a plausible reason?
It cannot be. Look, all the reasons that the Honourable Minister for Defence has provided so far in this debate, right from Parliament to this evening, cannot be plausible, it cannot be tenable, it cannot be justifiable. The Minister himself, if you listen to him carefully, on this show, he has said not less than 10 times that if we had the money, if we had the money, if we had the money, the president should have had an exclusive jet, we had to do strategic airlifting, that would be just for his use, if we had the money. So he agrees with us that we don't have that kind of money. It is the very reason why President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who has a presidential jet exclusive for his use, the Falcon 900EX, which could have taken him to France non-stop, and then to Belgium, and then to South Africa with only one stop, a jet which is in pristine condition. He had absolutely no business going to charter the most luxurious, the most expensive. Look, aircraft followers, aviation buffs, are amazed at the ACJ 320neo. The level of luxury, the sprucing up, which happened in Switzerland, where the aircraft was sent specially for that luxury. Look, a gold-plated aircraft, a master bedroom aircraft, an aircraft with shower. And I don't know why, Evans, you are not defending the reputation of your station. When the minister keeps calling you propaganda, you only put out what the minister said. We were all in Parliament. The minister said categorically that the president can shower with this luxury jet, and so he arrives and goes straight into his meetings. I mean, 6.5 hours. Why do you have to take a bath? Why? 6.5 hours. When the president is in Ghana on land, working in Ghana, does he bath every 6.5 hours? So don't accept that. Defend your credibility. This is not propaganda. The minister himself said it. You see, every justification they have tried to give does not wash. We cannot accept it. Look, this business that the aircraft is getting old. I have the Hansard here, the 19th March 2008 Hansard. You can read with me. The technical team from the Ministry of Defense further indicated that the aircraft has a lifespan of at least 20 years. This aircraft arrived in 2010. We are in 2021.
So give us
11 years. The Kotam 001, President Macron's presidential jet, arrived the same time our presidential jet arrived, in 2010. He is still using it. He arrived in Rwanda a few days ago with that jet. Air Force One, it did its first flight with the first Bush in 1990. They are still using it. The Americans are now debating how to move on to the next range of presidential jet. They have two Air Force One. Because there's one so that for decoy, so you're never sure which one the president is using at any point in time. They have two. And they've put out the program, it's about $5.3 billion and all of that. They are debating it. President Trump did a good job in reducing the cost from what he inherited from President Obama. And it looks like President Biden is also looking at the cost. They are still flying this same presidential aircraft, which they received 11 years before we received ours, and we are here complaining. I mean, is it what, a poor maintenance culture or what? So aircraft is not like some, let me not mention any car brand which you have bought and a few 2 years, 3 years is breaking down, you want to sell it. It's an aircraft in your own record. You say minimum 20 years. what you brought to Parliament under President Akufo. And this is an aircraft that, look, can you imagine what our friends will have said if this aircraft was bought by President Mahama? Can you imagine? This is an aircraft bought by President Akufo, ordered by your own president, our president, but of course from your tradition.
Do you accept that
look,
it could have been more expensive?
All these reasons don't wash.
But what about the capacity and the element of cost?
Now let me come to those two matters. First, capacity. The minister was saying in Parliament today, President has to travel with journalists, with security men, and all of that. So he needs a bigger aircraft. Then ACJ 320 Neo, what the president leases, we look at the specs, is only a 19 capacity maximum. It's 17 to 19. At night, actually, when the aircraft, if you're using it for night travel, they insist on 17. I mean, if for night travel, they insist on 17. It's daytime travel that you can go up to 19. So I know authoritatively that the president had to be given the 17 option. But let's say, for the sake of argument, go with the 19. What's the difference between 19 and 15? It's 4. The Falcon that the president has, which is in pristine condition.
And the finance minister has said that people still travel.
So it is 4, just because of 4, that's why we have to spend 15,000 pounds an hour, over 122,000 Ghana cedis an hour. And you see, the conservative estimates we have done are so conservative. You know that I didn't add when you charter the aircraft, when it moves from Farnborough, UK, to lift you from where you are, in this case in Accra, you have to pay. After it's done with you and has dropped you, you have disembarked, and they have to ferry themselves back to base. You pay for that. I didn't add all of that.
So you're saying that the 15,000 pounds an hour could be more?
The 2.8 million Ghana cedis, the total, the 345,000 pounds, is more, because I've not even added per diems, the hotel bills, the landing right. You know, in South Africa, they spent a night. The crew, the hotel bills, and all of that. I haven't added that. I have also not added the host of the president's army who traveled commercial. At least one has admitted publicly, the Honorable Minister for Finance, the Honorable Charles Edubuahin, who has said that he flew commercial to meet the president. So again, even this argument that the president wanted a bigger aircraft so that he can go with more people, what did Ghana benefit when at the end of the day, you still had all this host of people who traveled? It's the reason why tomorrow we are expecting the finance minister to come and answer to the cost, and we expect him to be transparent and to do a full and proper disclosure.
Has it been scheduled for tomorrow?
It's been scheduled. I have the provisional order paper here, and it's been scheduled at page 20.
What specifically is the question?
At page 21.
What's the question you asked?
The Honorable Samuel Kujato Ablakwa to ask the Minister for Finance how much the President's recent official travels to France, Belgium, and South Africa in May this year cost the Ghanaian taxpayer. Okay. So we expect him. And finally, if you are close,
just a minute.
If you permit me, I insist that in Africa, President Akufo-Addo is in pole position, top 5 when it comes to the Falcon. A lot of the countries is listed. Kenya doesn't have the BBJ. Burkina Faso, they don't have it. There are only 3 countries that have the BBJ: Nigeria, South Africa, and Tunisia. Viewers can Google. I mean, VIP assets of African president.
On the back of that, very quickly before
the president is very fortunate.
On the back of that, he says that fundamentally, the Air Force has requested that we get another, flight in our fleet, strategic airlift that can be converted for presidential use and for other purposes. Is this something that you support?
You know my view really on that? Honestly, I would rather say, let's bring back Ghana Airways. Let's bring back Ghana Airways. If we're going to buy large aircrafts, let's rather re-establish Ghana Airways. We'll create jobs for the youth. We will create an aviation economy here. Our national pride will be restored. The Ghana flag will fly again in the skies. I would rather opt for that.
Is that to suggest that you're not in favor of the suggestion, the request?
As it has been presented,
no.
I would rather go for Ghana Airways coming back.
Finally, because we have
I just want to say
minutes.
that the aircrafts that are listed, the countries that are listed, are from Boeing themselves. They provided this information. And you can easily go to airports. Tomorrow I can challenge you.
Burkina Faso chartered theirs. They don't own it.
Because of time, he has to
I say that the countries are lifted to you.
Yeah. But you should differentiate between the charter
it's not charter
and ownership.
Let him
Togo chartered, Burkina Faso has. So I'm just giving you that the countries are lifted to
Burkina Faso has an ancient Boeing 727.
In fact, it was a matter of record.
They don't have a floor
parliamentary.
They don't have a BBJ.
Let him. Please go on.
So it is from Boeing.
Well, I mean, this public.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that if it were even a Ghanaian aircraft, the crew will not sleep? Are you saying you will not pay landing costs? Are you saying that you will not do that? And are you saying that I've always told you that when you use the word pristine condition, excellent condition, it's very relative. I've already told you this aircraft has had 2 engine failures and a battery failure. And it can happen, anything can happen. I'm not praying for anything to happen, but anything can happen. I'm just saying that. But who is even complaining about the jet? I've told you that nobody is complaining about the jet.
But you just complain. You said
I answered you that the honest answer would have been a yes. Excuse me. Let me
stop. That's what he said.
That's what I said. So when you keep
it's in good condition.
It's in good condition. 2, gold-plated aircraft.
No, this one.
ACJ
the one that was hired.
Excuse me. 2, you said president can shower in a private. I said president can shower. Yes. That's why he didn't travel.
Yes, that's what you said.
I said that.
Yes, I heard you in Parliament.
So let's clarify. What did you say about
Listen
the shower?
to me. Let me read what I said. Let me read what I said. And whether you mentioned the president, let me read what I said. I said, and let me quote, the aircraft will carry a load of 11 passengers. That is our Falcon. When this aircraft is traveling, it was from your supplementary answers.
Yes.
Because it will only be the hazard. When this aircraft is traveling to the eastern part of the United States or Asia,
Wait a minute.
Asia, it will not load a crew of more than 8. It will load a crew of no more than 8 plus the luggage. That's what I said. So it depends on where the aircraft is going. Secondly, I have also said that the aircraft has to do refueling stops. And also in this COVID area, when you are traveling to multiple destinations, like the president's recent travel, the Falcon couldn't have been taken because it will have to do technical stuff which are not desirable. And when he's traveling with more than 20 people, when any president is traveling with more than 20 people, he has been, president has been doing with business trips that has brought a large sums of money to this country, he will need more than just a Falcon. Otherwise, these people will have to go a day ahead, which will be other cost to Ghana. And even the president himself will have to go a day ahead, which will be other cost to Ghana, because no president, that's what I said, I used the word, I said no president, I never mentioned Akufo-Addo, I said no president can have a shower in this aircraft. He cannot move from this aircraft. No president can move from this aircraft straight there. Why did I mention Akufo-Addo's name?
But it's obvious. You don't need to mention.
But why did I mention Akufo-Addo's name?
Okay.
And you said that Akufo-Addo cannot shower. That's why he...
No, but that is it.
I'm grateful that you came.
It's wrong.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuyi-Tablaka. Thank you very much. And as I amassed...
Hopefully, I hope the president would never chatter that...
As I amassed to, I have the final say on the issue of whether there's propaganda on my Joy Online or not. There isn't. And he knows that there is absolutely no propaganda on my Joy Online. What he said the question of the shower was indeed mentioned, which was used in the context of the controversy. That was what was reported. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
They said, I said...